All right. So for today's podcast guest, we have Alfred Lohmann, who's from Westchester, Pennsylvania, and I've been learning more about his story. Really interesting, from art school. He's got a cool background of traveling. He's a craftsman, taking a look at a lot of his stuff at the work he's been doing there um, in Pennsylvania. So excited to have you. Thank you for being here, Alfred.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Fantastic. So yeah, man, I took a look at your story and had taken a look at your website and the work that you guys are doing. I noticed something pretty interesting that I thought I would just kind of start off with here on your website. Pretty awesome quote, man. So it says, it all started in a 300-year-old farm villa in the south of France when I was asked by my friends to help them restore the large wooden arched gate to their courtyard. And I was totally hooked after that. Maybe that's a good intro just to tell us about kind of the story of Alfred Lohmann and the restoration work you guys are doing these days.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, so I went to art school and graduated from the Corcoran School of Art down in DC, and like most art school graduates, you graduate and you kind of wander around a bit and just trying to figure out life and what you wanted to do. And um, I've always loved working with my hands. I was never much of a student, although. You know, I wouldn't say school like bored me, but I just wasn't like a bookish guy, you know.
Okay.
And so you know, I was had provided for myself, put myself through school, through house painting, and moved back home, got into house painting again, and just had a killer summer, profited really well, and my now brother-in-law was working with me at the time, and he had this like great 1978 Westphalia bus, VW bus, and we like made a killing this summer, and we were like, you know what? We're gonna go crazy. We're gonna drive out west. We're gonna like make it rich, and like either the oil fields, or we're gonna drive up to Alaska and get a job on a canning boat or something, and just
Right.
we were young and dumb, totally young and dumb. And so, long story short, the transmission on the bus blew up, and
Of
so
course.
of course, right. So I was stuck with a wad of cash and nowhere to go, and I really was wanting for an adventure. And so, um, some family friends had reached out who were living in the UK. They had moved and bought this farm villa down in the south of France, and just randomly offered, like, "Hey, would you be willing to come down for a spell and exchange like room and board for, maybe some work?" And I was just, yeah, like, great opportunity, just to backpack around Europe for a little bit, and so that's what I did. And they just, the last time I really picked up any hand tools of any sort was sculpture class at Corcoran, and they said, well, we have this problem here, and we have this beautiful arched door. And what was interesting about the villa was had an open courtyard that the doors led into, and on one side you have the house, and the other side of the doors you have this huge brick oven, bread oven. It's massive, and they really wanted to make the door something special. And they said, hey, we don't know how to repair this, maybe you can figure something out. And so they just left me to the task, and I just enjoyed the process of it. I enjoyed the creative challenges of just trying to figure it out. And that's that a monster was created after that, so since then, I mean, I think what turns me on most about what I do is it really boils down to creative problem solving. It's a combination of just
Hmm.
working with my hands, but also, being presented a problem or a situation that needs to be resolved visually or creatively. And so that's, like I said, a monster was born. So,
Interesting. And that was over 20 years ago. So you've been at
yeah,
this for
that
a
was
long
back
time
in
now.
'98. That was back in '98.
Okay. Love it. So, I mean, you went to art school, you spent time in France, you lived in Uganda for a little bit. I mean, you've traveled, you've been around.
Yeah.
How did how has your art background affected the way that you approach construction? I mean, you do a lot of amazing restoration work, beautiful photos, timber frame, classic multi-year, 100-old buildings. How does the art kind of tap into this, and how does being a remodeler, and a restoration artist, how does that fit into your kind of background of art?
I appreciate you asking that. It's a good question. One of the things that was interesting about the school I went to, and I don't think I appreciated it at the time, but they were heavy on the process. So their deal was, I guess they were trying to be practical, but their deal was, okay, we're gonna make you into an artist where you go from not having any body of work to a full-blown body of work, and
Hmm.
we're gonna show you the steps how to do that. So it was a lot of process-oriented teaching. How do you literally go from 0 to 60 with a body of work and everything, and that's when I realized about myself is that I'm a real process oriented person. So it's not about, um, here are the blueprints, let me build the building as fast as possible. It's been more of, yeah, let me do the build out, but the way in which I do it, the process in which I take is really important to me because I love what I do. And in part of loving what I do is the process that it takes. So it goes from even from the planning stage, even the estimating part, actually kind of like, to just the actual crafting of it and, and the finishing of whatever project that's, set before me. So,
Okay.
it's been a strange evolvement because it has it for, I'd say for a long time, like, long story short, like, I graduated school, I got into painting, house painting, got exposed to carpentry, you know, did a little bit of landscape work with my now father-in-law. And, when it came to choosing what I actually wanted to do, I had to make a career choice. Uh, I was literally like, I think I'll be a carpenter, with the yellow pages, and just found a
Okay.
random company to work for.
Huh.
Hey, they sound kind of cool, and, for years, I think I wrestled with, well, why did I go to art school, or what was the purpose of all that? What was the plan for me there? But I think as my career slowly drifted more into, working in older homes, more of the preservation trades, more of the restoration side. I'm really understanding and pulling from, a lot of what I learned at art school, a lot of the process, that was
Interesting.
taught.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. Great. And then, I mean, do you have a crew? What's the size of your crew? Is it just you? What's the team look like right now?
So we're pretty. It fluctuates like probably like most guys like seasonally. So we'll have a little bit more of a robust crew in the spring and summertime, um, and then wintertime it gets scaled back. So prior to this year, I'd always had kind of, casual workers, summertime guys, subcontractors that I would link arms with, for help, laboring or whatever. This year was a larger turn for our company where we made a commitment in hiring two full-time guys, and then just kind of serendipitously, we have a kind of a part-time guy in the mix as well. So,
Okay.
I never wanted to, like, I wanted to be really intentional in how I built out. I mean, first and foremost, I've been married for maybe 24 years. I got four daughters, so obviously providing for my family is kind of clutch. I got a bunch of kids in college and grad school and kind of all over the place. So got a lot of
Right.
bills, right? So
Serious.
got a
Yeah.
wedding coming up, got stuff I got to pay for.
Wow.
So that's always, having a small footprint has always been really important to me, as far as my business. Um, but then this year, I just felt more as my business really shifted more towards preservation and restoration. Um, uh, I really felt like I wanted to take on guys, but not just let me just hire guys for the sake of hiring them, but let me take them on slowly and more intentionally with the desire to really train them up as craftsmen, as carpenters, not just worker bees, but guys who are literally taking on a trade, taking on a craft, and being able to grow in that more. And in some ways, just more of like, I guess, an old school view of like an apprenticeship or something. So.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and I kind of got that just looking at your site. I mean, sort of the vibe of the site. Um, I mean, the photos we take a look at a lot of different sites and with builders and stuff, and you really represent your work well with photos. And I can see you really kind of feel the artistry there, and I can imagine that your reputation and what you've already created in the community and the work that you take on, it looks like you're maybe very sort of choosy about that. And so I imagine the guys that you're working with too, you really want to get in and work with guys that are committed and that are going to do really high quality craftsman level work.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really. So I would say that the trades necessarily, at least what I do, really isn't for everybody. So carpentry has morphed into something where, and this is not a diss on any other carpenters who are out there or any remodelers, but carpentry really has taken on more of it's more of a trade of installation. So it's carpenters are no longer, making something. They're actually taking something that's already been manufactured and installing it. So there's a process in which they're following to install that thing properly through code or whatever. So, like nobody's really making a door anymore. Nobody's really making a window. People are buying that. Guys are just learning how to install that. And so with my guys, like all my stuff, all the stuff work we do is it's heavily into hand tools. So I mean, some guys just have good hands, some guys don't. Some guys can totally be taught to have, which I call what I call sensitive hands. Hands that are able to respond to the tool, respond to the material. Some guys they just fall right into it so easily. Other guys don't. Like, God bless them. You know what I mean? And it's not for not trying. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And it's like I've had seasons where I've had guys who are like an absolute like blessing, and I love them, but it's like, man, you know what? This probably isn't the path for you, and
Hmm.
that's okay. You know what I mean? But um, with the two guys that I have now, one is my nephew who's actually living with us, and I've been kind of working with him and talking with him about entering into the trades for a couple of years now. So, and he's just like the right kind of kid. He graduated high school, smart kid, wasn't really interested in school, but hard worker, good with his hands, has a level of creativity that's just beautiful, and just a real heart and a desire to learn and to grow, and coupled with a real curiosity about stuff. And the other guy I have is a little bit older, um, been around a little bit, but also too really open, like loves working with his hands, more of a physical guy. And both have been just great. They've been super humble and just really, really easy to teach and train, and and
Hmm.
I mean, taking guys on who've like literally they've never done any of this stuff before. They've really haven't
Well.
really worked with tools before. I've had to price things accordingly and I pay them accordingly. Um, but
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of coupled into also like we're trying to do like meet monthly, outside of work where grab some coffee, grab some, bagels, go back in the shop, be more intentional about learning a skill, you know what I mean? Apply that
Uh-huh.
later on. I throw videos, I throw articles at my guys, I throw books at my guys. Just looking any opportunity to grow them and to kind of like jumpstart their passion for carpentry and what we do. So yeah.
Interesting. I love it. And we talked, you said that for a while you're doing new house construction. But you said that you didn't like it. What were some thoughts on that? Like why didn't that fit to your style?
It could have been, it just, well, you know what? Part of the thing that and it's one of the reasons why I went into business for myself. But frankly, if you're the what we do as a remodeler, as a general contractor, it's a service industry, right?
Uh-huh.
Service industry. If you don't like serving people, like you probably shouldn't do this. I mean,
Right.
and I know a lot of guys who are like great with their hands, good with the tools, but they just really don't like people. It's like, man, join the union, get into commercial work, you'll be fine. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right.
But the day to day, like, and just truly having a heart to like just genuinely like care for people. You see, like I meet clients all the time. My typical client is, millennial or a little bit older. They uh, higher income bracket, purchase an older home. They're really into their house, like really into the history of their house, and they want to hire somebody who's as interested in their house as they are. You know, um,
Uh-huh.
and I look at going into people's homes as like, hey man, this is a kind of you go into somebody's master bathroom, that's like a sacred space. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you're not
yeah,
going to trust
right.
that with anybody. That's like the holy of holies with like somebody's
Right.
house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So I totally respect that. So, and I felt with the new home construction, it was real assembly line. It was definitely like, and there's a place for it, but it was definitely like profits over people,
Uh-huh.
and working with different companies, whether it's a remodeler or a new home construction or a distant with a commercial construction, like sometimes it it I don't know. I didn't like the way that the customer was treated. I didn't like
Interesting.
it wasn't about creating a home. It was about creating a product that somebody's going to
Uh-huh.
buy. And like we
Right,
live in a
I see.
capitalistic society. I get it. It's like you have that, but there's something about people's homes that there's like this deeper intrinsic value there. That people are going to spend time and have families and grow old and pass away and all these things. And there's something very special about that. And, you know, seeing that glow in like a new home buyer and they're buying their first like fixer upper and, that's kind of like a special thing. And I felt like there's something that was kind of lost in some of the new home markets that I was in. Once again, it's totally not trashing like the new home market, but, maybe it was with the folks I was working with or my bosses or whatever. But I didn't feel like there was this real care. Like there was a care there originally, but because it was like a mentality of like bigger, better, faster, somehow that care got kind of like downplayed and deflated and wasn't as important. And it became okay, on each house, how can we save X amount of dollars on each of these processes so that we can
Mm.
profit more? You know what I mean? So it was just
Uh-huh, sure.
it took that, and even with like some of the talking, so the site managers or subs on site, everybody had a little bit of a disdain for the person who's actually buying the house, which is like, guys, like these are the people that are actually like paying for like what we do, right?
Yeah, right,
So
right.
it was just like, and I get it, like I totally get it. It's just the world we live in, right? But it was just like,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what? Not for me. I want to have, I'm looking in my business, we're looking to build like community with our clients,
Uh-huh.
not just like sell a job, sell a job, sell a job. We're looking at, yeah, just creating a community. I enjoy serving my clients. I do a lot of like pro bono stuff for them just to serve them and help them out. I mean, yeah, that'll generate into a job or a sale or something, but my reputation is important to me. But it's
Uh-huh.
like you have to just kind of love serving people. You know what I mean? That's
Hmm.
just an important thing, right?
That's amazing, man. And I get that. I can feel that and I can see that from the stuff that you're doing. So you've got a beautiful family of four girls that are looks like they're all more or less grown. You're married. Um, how have you balanced sort of having a big family and having young girls, and how have you balanced kind of having a family and having a construction business at the same time over the years?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
Right.
A lot of
Do whatever
grace.
you got to do, huh?
Well, you know what? I was really, really fortunate when early on when the girls were little, I worked for a small family company, and my boss was great. He was fantastic, and you know, he was a family man and really promoted that with us as guys. So if we needed time off or a little extra space, or there's definitely grace there for when like we're a little bit late because somebody was up late at night, or somebody was teething
Uh-huh.
or whatever.
Uh-huh.
So that was always thing. The family was always came first, which I appreciated. Um, and I guess like as I've grown in my career, like as my career is taking up more of my time, and the girls are definitely in a spot where okay, they're growing up, they don't need me as much anymore as they used to. So it's I'm glad. Like so, my youngest right now she's 15. My oldest is she'll be 23 later this month.
Hmm.
So we're in a spot now where it's okay, like they're more independent, they're kind of got their own lives, they're doing stuff, jobs, grad school, college. Um, like actually two in Arizona, two here in Westchester. Um, so it's actually been a good timing for me to start my own business. I think if I were to do my own business, I think if I had it like years ago when the girls were little, I don't know if I could do it. It just not because of the demand of work, but it's the amount that I want to put into it just because I enjoy it so much. I have
Uh-huh.
no problem getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and having my little routine, and then slide right into doing estimates or tweaking spreadsheets or whatever, or reading an article or learning a new skill or build or whatever. I have time and space right now to devote that to that. Where early on it was just it's just a season for raising a family, honestly, and
Hmm.
I wasn't able
That's
to really
amazing.
contribute as much into the career. So
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah, full house. Okay, well, fantastic. Well, regarding the services that you do, I know you do a lot of restoration work. It looks like it's kind of a mix. Are there are there some areas of the business that are more profitable or that you like doing those jobs more? Looks like maybe you kind of more focused on the window restoration here last few years. I mean,
yeah.
what areas that you're doing kind of work the best for you, and are you looking to, I don't know, kind of grow that if that comes along?
Yeah, no, so starting out, I mean, it was really just a full service general contractor, just typical kitchen and bathroom remodeling, whole house remodeling, that sort of thing. I mean, and that's always like anytime you're acting as purely a general contractor, it's always more profitable. I liken it to, you have if you have a business portfolio and an investment portfolio, you're not all investing into one thing. You have a bunch of investments, and some are going to do good, some are going to do poor. But all in all, like hopefully end of the year are like profitable. So for me, running a general contracting company, you know, um, we're able to spread out those wins and losses and throughout the trades. And so I do like doing bigger projects. I do like camping out on somebody's property for a while. And, one, it just makes the administrative work a lot easier. I mean, I think a lot of guys will probably say like the admin work they do for a small job is probably about as much as they do with a larger job.
Hmm.
Um,
Uh-huh.
it was interesting, like for whatever reason, this past year, there were a bunch of big jobs that just fell through at the last minute for whatever reason, and the I got back into window restoration, and that just really, really blew up. I think we were talking earlier. It really took over like about 80% of my business, and those are great. I mean, I like it. My guys love them. It's a really chill work. It's a chill pace. Um, it's very detail oriented, but it could be anywhere between a $10,000 to a $70,000 job, depending on the size of the house and how many
Uh-huh.
windows. So it's a smaller job. So profit margins are smaller. and then it's just rinse repeat. You're just doing more of those, throughout the year. Whereas, a larger, whole house remodel or something that's gonna, run, $500,000 or $250,000, you're kind of camping out for several months. You're able to kind of like hit a nice relaxed stride with that. And with the jobs like that, profit margins are always higher, it's just by a matter of scale. So
Interesting. And I mean, you're all set up for millwork, so you do all of that off-site. I mean, there's still plenty of, but you're cleaning out channel. I mean, doing different work on the house. I mean, if you're doing a window restoration, does that happen on-site or mostly off-site back at your shop?
happens off site. So the funny thing is that, so like when I started my business, I was like small footprint, and my shop was really small. For a while, I was renting a small shop space. Kind of got kicked out of that out of the blue, and was literally forced to kind of build something on my property. So luckily, we have a little bit of property here, and so just over the course of a month, I just like basically threw together a shop, just someplace to house all my tools. I mean, I literally had like a beach cabana with all my tools underneath of it, and trying to keep the rain off of it and stuff. So build a shop that's small, and I guess it was last summer, I took on a restoration project for St. Mary's Church in Ardmore. They had this portico that had been hit by a truck, literally pulled and yanked off the church facade. So architects and engineers came out and said, okay, this needs to be completely taken apart, every piece restored, and then reassembled back on site. And the general contractor I was working with, was like, hey, this has all got to be done off site. I was like, all right, great. So I didn't know what to do because this is like, it was way larger than my shop could handle. So ended up buying a 20 by 20 event tent, um, putting in a false floor. So big, like think big, like wedding tent. So I bought one of those for like $800, and
Oh, right.
just had fans running, put a false floor in, and we were like off to the races. And my wife was like, "Yeah, how long are you gonna have that up?" I'm like, nah, just probably a couple months. Will be no big deal." So yeah, we're literally
Right.
still like working out of that, to the point where we just actually just took out a small loan, and we're actually building a larger 1,400 square foot shop in a few weeks on the property. But
Amazing. There at your place.
yep, yeah, which is
Dude,
great.
dream come true. 1,400 square feet. I
Literally,
love it.
commute is like awesome. It's fantastic. So,
Oh,
um,
man.
and
Amazing.
once again, we're trying to do it in a way where it's like, all right, if we're building value into our property. um, Once again, for like, I think shop space in Westchester is like, it's a little bit over $2 a square foot. So for the size I would rent, I'm gonna have something paid off within a year or two. You know what I mean?
Amazing.
So
Uh-huh.
yeah. So
Love it.
that being said, with a lot of the millwork I do, I have a partnership with my brother-in-law. They have a fantastic, they're Westchester Woodworks, and Komorowski Construction. They have a fantastic millwork. They've done historic profiles for me, and just do a fantastic job. So when I can't handle it in my shop, like I just definitely send it to those guys. So a lot of the stuff we do create, like so for the windows and doors, they're small runs, so there might be like 5 or 10 linear feet. So we've actually began to collect like old hand tools, old plow planes, old molding planes. So we do a
Wow.
lot of stuff by hand, because a lot of the moldings we have, like you can't buy a router bit, or you can't buy a shaper bit,
Uh-huh.
across the board.
Uh-huh.
Everything has to be specially made. So what I'm finding is a lot of the period, the historic planes and stuff, they match exactly the time period in which we're repairing.
Amazing. That is
Yeah, so it's pretty
awesome.
cool. Yeah, so it's been a pretty rad experience. Yeah.
I love it. I've done a lot of construction myself way back in the day. I mean, we did some hand plane work and some restoration stuff, and I mean, it's been a long time, but man, it's all dear to my heart. I love all that, and going to garage sales and going different places, finding the old planes, man, it's just like so
Right.
beautiful little tool.
Right. Right. It's
Love
exactly
it.
right. Yeah.
Sharpen it up. Amazing, fantastic. Cool. And then I mean, regarding kind of the business where it's at now, just curious for folks that, we talk with folks that are kind of in the process of growing. We talk that with business owners, construction business owners, all across the board, and some really want to grow, and some very much don't want to grow. They're kind of like we're right where we want to be. And a
Right,
big thing that I've heard a lot is just sort of like hiring, right? It's tough to find
right,
guys these days.
right.
And I think maybe with the restoration type stuff that you're doing, I mean, in the just like deep craftsmanship, I mean, do you think about growing? Does that matter to you? And if not, what's your kind of philosophy around staying the size that you are and kind of like being in the sweet spot that works for you?
Yeah, no, it is something I think a lot about. Like I do, I'm very much a hands-on person, so I'm definitely owner operator. I'm definitely, mentoring and training my guys. But it's one of those things where like there is a responsibility in taking on employees and especially doing
Hmm.
what we do. So, I'm not looking at as like hiring employees as a means to an end. So we can just do the work to pay our bills or whatever. So I'm aware that like I'm giving these guys a career, and whether they choose to take it or not, that's not up to me. That's up to them. But I'm giving them a career, and while I have them, I do want to be responsible as far as being in a position where okay, I can offer them incremental increases, merit-based increases. Like I'm putting together um, kind of like a skills like a skills merit list where it's like all right, this guy's able to do these certain tasks, he's able to do these certain things. Well, that makes him into this like pay level, this pay grade.
Uh-huh.
I don't want their increases to be like just arbitrary just because another year has passed. um, but that being said, like I want to grow my business responsibly so that we have the volume of work, we have the caliber of work coming in that would provide growth to my guys, not just professionally, but also just in making having them earn a living wage and that sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
Um, that being said, like, so I think there's an ethical, there's a holistic care that I'm trying to really wrap my mind around as far as like how do I grow this? How do I want to kind of govern this engine so that yeah, we're just not taking every job that comes down the pike, you know what I mean? But we're rolling out work that comes in at a good pace. We're developing our reputation. Because that's the other thing is like what I've noticed with my clientele. So I think I mentioned earlier, like a lot of my clientele is like millennials and a little bit older. And what I'm seeing is a lot of my clientele across the board. So they're stalking me cross media. So they see that I'm a member of they look on Window Preservation Alliance that I'm a member of. They look at my website. They vet me on Facebook. They vet me on Instagram. They might check out my LinkedIn. I mean, they're kind of all over me. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? And uh, and
Definitely.
so it's happened with the past two clients of mine that I've signed where, oh, I really like it when you did this job back at this, so they're like telling me about like post I did a couple years ago on Instagram or Facebook. I'm like, oh wow, okay, you know. So in that ways, like certain things like that have been great tools for me. It just seems like with nowadays, like it's like that age group, that those folks they want somebody genuine. They don't want somebody ingenuine, and they really a lot of my clients are looking for to have a relationship with their contractor. They just bought this period house. They know they
Uh-huh.
want to do a bunch of projects. They can't afford to do everything all at once, but they want me and they want to have a relationship with me while they're at that property, you know,
Uh-huh.
and me to learn their house and help them to kind of reach their goals of what they want in their interior and exterior and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So it's been really interesting in that sense, So, but all those, the social media and the website and everything, it really helps to just kind of, I guess, verify who I am, as well as Instagram and Facebook have been great as just kind of like a constant portfolio that's constantly getting updated. And people like to see that. People like to see my journey as well. So, which is kind of crazy, you know.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I saw you've been a lot more active on LinkedIn. Looks like here the last little bit, posting a lot more and getting a lot more of your jobs up, and
You know
it's
what?
cool to see that.
I don't know. I mean, I think, to be honest with you, I have like bandwidth for maybe like two avenues of social media. And it's been primarily like Facebook and Instagram. That's been kind of, okay, that's fine. They kind of work tandem. I get way more responses and feedback and everything from Instagram. LinkedIn is one of those things where I feel like it's like grown-ups Facebook.
Yeah,
You know what I
right.
mean? So it's like
Yeah.
grown-ups Facebook, and it just, I guess it's just to verify me even more. I have some work colleagues that are on LinkedIn. So I'm not as active on there as I am with on Instagram. Instagram,
Uh-huh.
I've definitely gotten jobs off of Instagram. I've definitely gotten connected with other people in the preservation trades. Really interesting community there. That's been actually fantastic resource. You know what I mean? So for me, my business, Instagram has been kind of huge, kind of a pretty huge thing. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Man, do you ever, with the kind of like level of craftsmanship that you're doing, and you probably have a lot of opportunities that come along. Do you ever say, I think this job or the way that this thing is kind of coming to me maybe isn't right for like what we're trying to do. Maybe it's a little too, um, I don't know, corporate, or you're talking about some of the kind of somewhat more kind of soulless, different types of construction that maybe are around. I mean, do you ever? I'm just curious because it's been coming up some actually for us where we talk to folks. Actually, I'm not sure that this is exactly ideal with the culture that we're trying to create here. Does that ever come up with you much? I mean, probably a lot of your jobs are by referrals, and it's like a cool network that you're already working inside of. But you ever have to turn down work because it's just not the right culture fit?
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. Um, I would say early on, I was, because I've been in the industry for a long time, and I was known in this area, so it was easy in some ways of just getting started, and for a while I was able to really kind of pick and choose the work I wanted to do. I was nimble. I had a very
Mm.
small business footprint. You know what I mean? Just me,
Uh-huh.
very low to no overhead. Which was by design so that I could really kind of craft like what I wanted to do and go after the work I wanted to go after. Um,
Hmm.
this year in some ways was slow, and I had to say yes to a lot of stuff that I maybe normally wouldn't have said yes to.
Okay.
Um, it worked out, it paid the bills, but I think that you know, I, I think I've people who look at my stuff and they see my stuff, whether on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, like, they see, okay, he might not be the right guy to do, a vanilla box fit out, in the mall,
Uh-huh.
you know. I
Right.
don't see any drywall in any of his posts, so he might not be,
Yeah, right.
you know what I
Where's the
mean?
drywall and the metal studs and the
Right.
right.
And I think a
Yeah,
lot
right.
of that is just, I think in some ways it is, how do you, in this day and age, like how do you, especially as a small business person, like how do you become known,
Uh-huh.
and, how do you draw in the kind of work that you want, like that's always a question I'm asking myself, because at the same time, I definitely don't want to turn on the fire hose because you could easily do that. And then
Uh-huh.
you're just spending a ton of time, fielding calls and, vetting them out. And okay, yeah, we're not going to do that. We're definitely not going to do that job. That's not us. Um, There are times when like I do talk to those people and I point them in the another direction. I don't mind doing that because once again, we're a service industry. It's just good for the trades, you
Uh-huh.
know. So, but yeah, I have no problem saying no to people.
Interesting. Yeah. Awesome. And then regarding your business now, where does most of your business come from? I know you've got a new website here the last couple of years. You've got a lot of Instagram posting going on, um, some Facebook, some LinkedIn. Inevitably a lot of referrals and things happening. I mean, you guys have got a perfect, 5-star reviews on Google Business Profile. Where do you find the most of your work comes from these days?
A lot of it is word of mouth. A lot of it, being a member of the Window Preservation Alliance has been huge.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, Networking there, that's been fantastic. I think even just reaching out to other local businesses that are either step ahead of me, like developing a relationship with another local builder, real high end, they do beautiful work. A company called Pine Mar, done a job with them. It just once again, it's like you I look at it as like having a good financial portfolio. You're investing a little time here, a little time there, a little time there, just fostering different relationships, fostering a little bit stuff on social media, a little stuff with maybe some organizations you're involved in. I just became a member of the Association of Preservation Technologies Delaware Valley chapter, where it's just a group of professionals working in the preservation trades, opportunity to network, opportunity to grow. So like all those things, really can have at least contributed to me, um, you know, and just in generating work. I've a bunch of architects I've gotten to know recently who are passionate about restoration work. I went to a linseed oil paint seminar put on by LG Build and LG
Interesting.
Home Builders and Earth and Flax, two great local companies. They're doing work in this area.
Wow.
And it's great just always getting together with like-minded people. And with the preservation stuff, there is a spirit of collaboration that you don't see, I think, in other like traditional areas of remodeling and building. And one thing I love about this trade is that people are always giving each other like shout outs, and I love that. I have no problem like, promoting my brother-in-law who's also a carpenter. I have no problem promoting my other brother-in-law who's an electrician, Komorowski Electrical Services. This is fantastic. My nephew is a plumber, Clark's Plumbing Service. I have no problem like when I do a post and I do a bill with them, give them a shout out. You know what I mean? And give them
Uh-huh.
credit where credit's due. Because it's a collaborative effort, and you'd be surprised how much business comes my way just through
Hmm.
that. So just having that spirit of collaboration and just humility and just people want to be a part of what you're doing, and it's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's fantastic, man. So, the Window Preservation Alliance, I saw that you're part of that. You talked about that. When you said it, being a part of that has brought in a fair amount of new work. That wouldn't be from necessarily like retail folks that are attending that. Is this from other builders who you're kind of collaborating with, or are there like folks that are attending this seeming kind of association, maybe looking for someone to do some restoration work for them?
So I didn't I didn't really know this before, but uh, people people who buy an old house are really into their windows. Like it's like a
Awesome.
legit thing. It's like people say that like the windows are like the soul of a house, and it's like really true. I mean, people get waxed poetic about it like all the time, but I mean, there is like a huge movement of uh, old home buyers and people who like old homes, who just are really into their windows. That's like a big thing, and they're really really cool. And there's been It kind of taps on everything. It taps on like people's sense of history. There's a lot of skill, craftsmanship that's involved with it. There's a whole lot of conspiracy stuff too. When you get into like post World War II construction of windows and the vinyl window movement and how they're like trying to take over the wood windows. I mean, it's like
Oh,
trying to make
interesting.
vinyl window companies are trying to make it like an appliance where you swap our windows out every 5 years, and so there's like a lot of like it's kind of funny. People go crazy. Some people think, window preservation is a cult. I would deny that. but what's been interesting is like so those homeowners will look on the site. So the site's great, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm Pennsylvania, and me and a bunch of other guys will pop up, and I guess they just call us. So and then
Huh.
what has been the bonus for me is that, oh, you're a general contractor as well. I mean, they're guys. There's a colleague of mine, a guy's named Adam Butler of Iconic Windows. He's just up the road. He's booked out for 2 years on Windows, and
Wow.
he's got like 16 employees. So 2 years he's
Wow.
booked out. Six
Wow.
shop, 16 employees. Man, the guy's like grinding it out. Does
Huh.
beautiful work. Total giver, awesome guy, and
Amazing.
yeah, and he's the one actually turned me on to the group. He's like, dude, there's totally room in this area. And I'm like, great. I mean, I was looking at Windows just as a way just to present my services to people, because it's gonna be easier to sell somebody on a $10,000 job or $25,000 job versus, a $250,000 job, a larger remodel, whatever. People usually have like $10,000 to $15,000, at least in our area, ready to spend on an investment on their older home. And windows are like real good area that people love to invest in. So, and that in and of itself, kind of that entry level remodeling project or restoration project has really opened up, a lot of doors for me as a business. Oh, you do the windows. Oh, well, can you do the doors? Oh, can you now fabricate new storm windows for me? Oh, well, like what about, can you remodel our master bedroom? Can you do this bathroom? So
Hmm.
all that has
Interesting.
kind of opened the door to other projects that they would want to have in their house and stuff. So yeah, it's
Oh
been
man, that's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic, Alfred. I guess the last question I would have for you, man, is when I think that, like learning about your journey and learning about it some before you talked, and you're an artist and got an amazing family. It looks like you have a cool, like well-rounded life, and that you have focused on the kind of craftsman side of things, um, and maintain that intact, without losing your soul. I mean, you've stayed kind of like grounded and awesome in that, and really been able to kind of focus on the craft. If you were talking to, say, a younger builder, someone who hadn't been gotten to this point yet in their career, um, what advice would you have just about how to keep it real, man? How to like keep it soulful, this journey, and not get sort of out of control with just chasing the money.
Right.
Any
I
thoughts?
mean, for me at least, I'm a church going guy, so my identity is not in what I do. It's, in my
Mm,
God and everything.
uh-huh.
So there's that keeps me grounded. I would say
Okay.
too, but just general like basic life stuff that, you know, life is a process. There's no arriving. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like, I just landed an incredible opportunity a few weeks back. We're restoring the pilot house on the USS Olympia down at the Seaport Museum. Like really,
Wow.
like totally awesome. And like if I told a younger me that, I would have been like, oh man, that's awesome. That's it. But it's not it. It's you have to approach what you do as as an opportunity to learn, as an opportunity to grow. And you have to approach it
Mm,
that it is a process. Where if you're focused on being a person who's committed to a process, you are not going to be the same person today as you will be, next year. And
hmm
I mean, I'll be honest with you, man, like, yeah, it's important setting goals and stuff like that for yourself. any goal I ever set, like, just never happened. It's always taken like a left exit somewhere. A prime example is like getting started and like wanting to drive out west with my brother-in-law in his VW at Westphalia. It didn't work, and like, I
Right.
look at it as like God had totally other plans. God intervened. He just took me on this crazy journey. I've just tried to show up and just be as faithful as possible with what it was set
Mm.
before me. I'll say this, man. I was you talking to my second born recently. She just graduated college, crushed it there. Um,
Mm.
you know, and she's struggling a little bit where she is, and just, I'm not in the career. I'm not doing the thing I want to do right now. And I just felt like, there were years where I was grinding it out. You know what I mean? Work was a drudgery where I was working for somebody else. Maybe the pay wasn't great, or maybe the work itself was just miserable, and I was just like, I'm just got to wake up. I got to be faithful. I got to provide for my family.
Mm.
I ain't gonna lie, like, you will have seasons like that, and but I think it's just that's what builds character, of just getting through those seasons, but having a desire to grow as a human being, not just like,
Mm.
yeah, of course, in your craft. And generally, I say to my guys, like, take an interest in what you do, take an interest in what we do.
Huh.
That's why I give them books and send them videos, and you have to absolutely love doing what you do. Like, as far as the trades, like, I love the smell of the
Uh-huh.
wood, the tools, the dirt, the whatever, the noise. You have to love all that. If you don't love it, then you need to go find something else to do, but I think it's that
Awesome.
persistent desire, um, to know that there's no arriving at anything. It's just really a
Hmm.
process. And how, like, do you want to make that process beautiful? Do you want to make that process a poetic thing, and leave a legacy like that? So that's my philosophy on it.
I love it, man. So your faith has been a huge part of your life, your family's life as well, I imagine, and just sort of you've got to love what you do and learn it. And at the end of the day, work isn't the only thing. Career is not really even what you necessarily identify with. It's what you do for work. You identify with some other things, your faith, and some other important things. And that's beautiful, man. That's great advice. I love it.
Thanks. Appreciate that. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Perfect. Alfred, thank you so much for being here today, for teaching a lot of great stuff here. I've got a lot of great moments here. I'm going to take some great notes here. I've got a few pages of great notes here that I took, and
Mhm.
excited to go through those. And thanks for sharing all this wisdom with our listeners here, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for making time for me. I really appreciate it. Thanks for reaching out.
Okay, have a good night, man.
All right. Peace. You too. Bye.
All right, bye bye.